This is the Diary of a Lady Band Director podcast, brought to you by the Passion Is Network.
Hey, Cybil. Hey, Lauren.
Hello.
What's up? Nothing much. I'm trying a new lipstick color. I don't know if I like it yet.
It's cute. I like it. You might need to add a little, like a little pink in the middle to give it a little ombre look. Oh, okay. But otherwise, fine. You might need to blot.
That's all out of my wheelhouse. Yeah.
I was gonna like. Lauren just spoke way above my pay grade. See, that's what happened when you study arts management. You got details that I'm like, I ain't even got that many details.
No, I just watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos and just go down the
ladies.
rabbit hole. By the way, I like Cybil's lip.
Oh, thank you.
It is cute.
Yeah, at least Takenya got lip gloss. I ain't got nothing. It's just A
little Fenty goes a long way. That's it.
Above my pay grade is what NAC is. Hey, Janae, she said, hey, in the comments. Hey, how you doing? Heck, I am looking at your lips now. I know, I sound like a creep. What color is that?
Looking at your lips.
I think it's called brick dust. With brown lip liner.
Name.
That's funny.
Wait,
that's funny. You said brick dust?
Mm-hmm.
And then lip liner.
Pinkish. Brown lip liner.
That's like 2 steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Takenya, stop.
The ombre.
Need to get MAC. You know, there's like, I went on a website to where if there's like a MAC fish, there's always like a more economical version, especially NYX. I love NYX. So
yeah, we need the economical version.
It's all the same.
Dang, wait a minute, we all headed towards locks.
I think so.
So I didn't twist.
Right?
I feel like I'm about to show and tell.
Wait,
I figured that it would be smart to twist, and then because I'm on break, I can twist it down further instead of like trying to do my whole head because my hands were tired. Because this up twist daddy. Men don't know about this. Well, some men know because I think Mark said he started his locks himself and he maintained the locks. So shout out to Mark for making.
Oh no! I think you're frozen, Krystal.
Oh, all right, we back. Uh-oh.
Okay.
The spirit of Quan is amongst us. We know Quan, his internet be crazy on Talk That Talk. When he come in, everything gets shut down. So Quan, just don't log in. Just watch the aftermath. We don't need that spirit. We don't need that spirit. But yeah, Mark said he locks his own hair. They quoted me at $750. I walked right back out the door. I was like, car note, insurance, hair.
That doesn't even make any sense because you don't have a full
YouTube
head.
University. Right. It's not. Look, there ain't nothing there, y'all. Nothing. They was just trying to get me. Well, it's a little African daddy that just opened and does a Lauren. So we just gonna say they were trying to get me. Well, this is a good way to start out our 11th episode. If you're just tuning in, we are talking about us. Because we don't get to talk about us and people don't talk about us. So we said we're going to have an episode to talk about us. And it's Black Music Month and we're all musicians. So guess what? We fitting in the realm anyway. So the first question of our topic today, HERstory, how music changed your life. We're going to start with a little icebreaker. name your hobbies. It don't have to be musical or non-musical, because we're trying to give viewers to understand that we actually are human beings outside of our job. And what a great way to finish Black Music Month with talking about what we do, music and above and beyond. So anybody want to take a go at that hobbies? At the hobbies, what's your hobbies?
I'll take a stab at it, because this is a question I've asked myself like over and over again. We kind of talked about it a little bit, like, oh, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, what, you mean like this is like stuff that people do that's for fun and they like doing it, and I'm like, but all I do is music. So it's like music is my hobby, and I'm like, either I'm writing it, I'm producing it, I'm arranging it, I'm writing tracks for other people. It's like my music is my hobby, and I feel like that's kind of lame a little. I feel like it's a little bit lame, because the other things that entertain me are always still music related. The things that I find joy in is still music. I don't know how to separate like, oh, and this is my hobby, because it's just the stuff that I still do. So do y'all have a hobby? Somebody out there knitting or collecting Transformers or something? I don't know. I mean, watching cartoons, does that count?
I mean, yeah, Takenya, like anything you do for fun counts. And if music is your fun, like I understand that too. So if music is your fun, that's your fun. I feel like a lot of us got into music because it actually is our fun. Like we not like, I don't know, maybe English teachers, English is fun and they want to teach it, and that's what they get a kick out of. I don't know. But as far as like arts, we get into it because it's like every day at fun. If playing music is your fun, I think raise your hand if music is a hobby for you. Raise your hand if music is a hobby for you. Damn, Lauren. Okay, Lauren had the stone cold, like, I don't know. Okay, so Takenya, music is your hobby. What in particular?
What I like the most, I think, is just jumping into old school R&B songs and playing and singing those. I think that's the fun stuff for me, where it's like, I mean, people still pay me to do it, but it's the stuff that I do when nobody's paying me to do it. I'll sit up here and figure out like Make Me a Believer by Luther, and I'll just like, oh, let me run through those chords because it's fun.
Okay. You be singing in the background. Y'all remember that Martin episode? We all. Where your mic at? It's behind you. You got a real mic? I know you got a real mic.
Yeah.
Just in case y'all don't know, Takenya just as techie as I am.
Yeah. I stay ready. I got my overhead camera shot for when I'm showing kids how things look at the keys. I guess getting my nails done is a hobby, because them kids will come for you. They will come for you. Why your nails look like that?
Listen, kids are dusty. Nails. I'm gonna say that right now. Kids are dusty and dirty with their comments towards teachers. They have, especially our own children, man. They can get nasty. You gotta be able to check them sometimes. Like, who you talking to? I'm not your friend. And then you gotta be quick with your mouth. I learned that at Morgan. I learned how to be real quick. They are quick. Musicians are quick and snarky. So we gotta be able to get that sting back sometimes.
Sarcasm is my hobby. Sarcasm.
Bet. Sarcasm, y'all hobby? Raise your hand. I feel like it's my hobby and it's my second degree. I could be sarcastic as hell. All right. Lauren, what's your hobby? You get the nerd out. Come on, nerd. I can talk about my friend like that. She a nerd. She know.
Hi, I'm upstairs, Krystal. I can hear you, but I'm on the show too, so I can hear you too.
Telling people how in their houses, they like, oh, people like David be like, oh, she's in another compartment of Krystal's house.
Right. So she's in the other wing of the house, because that's how Marylanders live. They have different wings in their house. Whatever. Yes, I'm in the west wing of Krystal's house, and music is my hobby too. It became a hobby whenever I started. Yes, I was in a community band called the Baltimore Rebels. That's where I met Krystal and her husband and um, her husband's brother and all my friends from Morgan there. It was fun. Doing community bands such as Fort Washington Symphonic Winds. I was part of the Durham County Concert Band. During the pandemic, I played for Jeff Bradshaw, which was so fun. So yeah, music is also a hobby for me. Now my that's my number one expensive hobby. Number two expensive hobby is playing a card game known as Magic the Gathering. So if any of you are familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon cards, this is like a high level type of card game. And if you get into it, it depends on the format because there's so many different formats you can play it. And what I mean by format is how many players play in a pod, whether it be 2, 3, or 4 players, how many cards are in your deck, how many life points you have. It's just so much to it. I play the commander format with there are 99 cards in the deck, and then the 100th card is your commander. That's your main card that your deck is evolved around. So yeah, it can get pretty expensive. I have a deck that's worth it's like the stock market with cards because the more rare and the less they print the card, the more expensive, the more valuable it is. So I have a deck around vampires. The commander's named Edgar Markov. I bought the entire deck for $40, but Edgar value went from $40 to $300. And then I upgraded my personal deck with different cards. And now my deck is valued at like $500-$600. I have another deck that's worth $700. It's expensive. Yeah. So don't rob me, y'all. I'm into that type of stuff, that nerdy stuff.
You're confirming what David says about you right now.
Oh my God.
You have a hobby where you spend that much on cards. Lauren rich, y'all.
Yeah.
She rich,
No, I'm not. No, I paid the money for the cards and the cards value went up. So But no, so one fact, the most expensive card in Magic the Gathering is called Black Lotus. It is now the last Black Lotus is sold on auction for $551,000 because it was like a foil edition. It depends on like the finish on it. So it wasn't a regular card. It was a foil edition. It was signed by the artist. I believe the artist for that card passed away. So that makes the value go up. It's kind of like, trading sports cards, a really famous, like say if Tom Brady passed away today, because I looked up his cards. One of his cards is worth like $5 million. If Tom Brady's passed today, which I wouldn't wish that on him, especially he's trying to get back into the NFL. It'll probably be worth twice that. It might be worth $10 million. It goes, the value goes up because, they're no longer with us. So the illustrator of the card, Black Lotus, is deceased. And I think it was a signed copy of it. That's how they ended up auctioning it off for $551,000. So yeah. And here's the thing about that card. It's not playable. It's banned in all the Magic formats. So you can't even play it. It just sit up on a mantle, look at it and say, hi, it came in the alpha set. So it was like the first set that it came out in. So that's also what makes it valuable. It's all these variables of what makes these cards valuable. There's 25-cent cards. There are cards that go up to thousands and thousands of dollars. I am in the middle. I would say not in the middle, the low end, because I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars, but I do have assets, which are my cards. So that's my other hobby. A third hobby I have, which is nerdy. I watch video game playbacks like Street Fighter. I watch Zelda because my mom used to play Zelda in the middle of the night. If it weren't for her, none of us would have known how to play video games. I watch Bonk because my first system I played on was an Atari. I watch all types of video game playback. I was watching Samurai Showdown today from like the 90s. Samurai Showdown 5 was pretty good. It's like 7 versions. They released the 7th version like 2020, I think, or was it 2019? I forgot. But yep, those are my hobbies. Yay, nerd.
What I got out of that is Lauren got money. Lauren got money. Lauren got money. Lauren got money. Dylan, and Dylan.
Yeah.
So
Lauren doesn't have money.
What's your
She
most
just knows how
expensive
to
card?
save. My most expensive card that I own is the Vampire Edgar Markov. He is worth 100. I'm going to look on Mana Box now. I think he's worth $110. Now, mind you, I bought his whole deck. No, he went back down to 66. He was a couple months ago. He was worth like $110. Usually cards go up and down depending on, it's like the stock market, like the supply and demand. Edgar was only printed once, and that was when he came out in 2017. And because his powers, like the way you build that deck, you can win the game easily. So because he can make a whole bunch of vampires and he could just kill you. So because of how easy it is to win the game with him, he's more valuable. He's what you call a competitive card. He's very competitive. So people can take him to tournaments and win easily with him. So that's another thing that makes a card valuable, how well they are, in tournaments. The popularity, the supply, the demand, the way they're made, which set they're made, the rarity of it, all that. So it was worth $110. Now it's worth $66. So it's either between that or doubling season, but I'm borrowing that card from a friend, Chris. I'm borrowing a card from Chris. So that's his card. But yeah, I think Edgar is my most expensive card.
I just want to know why it went down. I would think it only stayed or either went higher.
You know what? There's a set called Double Masters coming out next week. I don't think he's being reprinted. The Judge's Gift. Oh, there's another set called Judge's Gift cards. It came out in 2021. That's why he went down, because he was reprinted last year. He was up to $110, I promise you, but now he's at 66 because he was reprinted in 2021. So it kind of sucks when you have a valuable card and it's like, okay, yeah, I have this card, and then they reprint it and the value goes down because there's more supply. So it's just simple supply and demand at that point.
And you play Magic with my brother-in-law. Just to let y'all know, my brother-in-law is like everybody in my house. Everybody in my family.
Look, he joined. Look, he joined our Commander League this week, and he had a good time. He was hanging with people. He builds very scary decks. He's more savvy than me as far as building decks and beating people. Yeah, there's like a little evil. Both your husband and your brother-in-law, there's like a little evil streak in them.
Thank you for saying
but whatever they do, they're talented at it. Like your husband can bowl his ass off, and he can win. He can go on tournaments. He can be a professional, just like your brother-in-law. He could go on tournaments and just win the fuck out of everything. So win everything. So I forgot we were on the show, y'all.
That's why my son's a genius. Yeah, it ain't me. What about you, Cybil? You got hobbies? I seen one. I'm not gonna assume that your videos are a new hobby. But I'll let you talk about it if you want to.
I forgot about that. But I know I like word games and like puzzles and stuff. So Wordscapes is one of them, and Water Sort is where different colors are in a tube and you have to find the right color, put it on top of it's hard to explain, but I'm on like level 157 and I've been on that level for a whole month. Like I cannot get past that one for the life of me, but I love figuring out puzzles. I like working out. I like doing hair, trying to figure out new styles, walking my dog, love her. learning how to cook, and the music one is watching music videos from the 90s and 2000s. I just like to be nostalgic, and I like just go back there, like John A, SWV, Silk, Boys to Men. I do that every day. I just sit around and watch music videos from the 90s and 2000s, like really sit there like I never seen it before.
So, Krystal, tell Cybil how me and your husband play wordscapes like crazy.
So one, I refuse to play any of those type of things with my husband or his brother or like my family.
He's
my
asking
aunt
what level is he
because
on?
they're wordsmiths. They deliberately, they deliberately try to have a vocabulary that, like, I think my vocabulary is pretty good, but they are on another level, and I refuse to play things like that with them.
He says he's on level 1863.
And I don't.
I'm in the thousands. I'm in the thousands somewhere. I kind of stopped, but yeah, he's in 1863. So
I guess my only similar correlation for this is Candy Crush, because I'm determined.
Me too.
I'm just determined to beat my mama at this point. I'm just trying to catch her. That's like my sole purpose in life.
What level you on?
Music. Let me see.
I got you. I'm probably on. Let me see. We about to see who's ahead. And I had to start over with an account. So
no. Okay. All right. I'm on level. I'm gonna show you 1, 2. What is it? What is the number at?
3,914. You've been playing since it came out.
Yeah, my older teenagers like, Mommy, I remember you playing that and ignoring us pretty much.
Oh, well, that's close. I'm at like level 819. But I started over
trying to catch. My mama will call me, send me a life, Kenya, send me a life. Why you ain't send me no life? So yeah, Candy Crush.
are you frozen?
I don't know if anybody else internet been trash. Yeah, am I frozen? I'm not frozen, am I?
Good, you good.
Oh gosh, getting it. Okay, yeah. My Wi-Fi's been dumb. I'm on my MacBook because my laptop decided to update right before the show. You know how, like, technology, if you work in technology, it's gonna do trash stuff right before you. And I never want to do anything on this MacBook because it just do the most. I'm not a fan of
Yeah, I think it's your MacBook. I'm on your Wi-Fi. So
yeah, but I ain't had no time. The next thing would be to be on my phone, and both of them were dying. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna be what it is. The next question. What really grinds your gears? What's your musician pet peeve? I didn't say my hobby. Did I say my hobby? I didn't say my hobby. I like to work out. In particular, kickboxing is my hobby. That kickboxing is not a hobby. He don't know nothing. Kickboxing is my hobby because I get all that aggression. Like, I want to fight people. Jail. So I can't fight people and go to jail. So I kickbox, and that allows me to pretend that I'm fighting somebody. I'm not really fighting anybody at all. So that's my physical hobby. But music is my hobby. I play in a couple different, like, ensembles or community bands. In a community band, we met in one that I used to help run. That was in Baltimore. Somebody said, I ain't never heard of them before. It's cool. We live up here. We don't really venture beyond, but we used to go down south, and it was kind of cool. It was always cordial when we would go to Atlanta 4th of July parade. And last group I remember was it Atlanta Metro Mass Band. I like the fact that it was so many kids. It was like back then. It was like, I ain't gonna date myself. It was 2006, y'all.
It was like 06, 07. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of kids, and it's a lot hot. Like, we ain't used to that level of heat get hot down there.
Speaking of heat,
Like,
where my shooters at? Where my people who like to fire weapons like just because? Nobody likes to be
not me. Not me. I wish I was a shooter, but I'm not.
I mean, like,
I actually want to get my gun license. Yeah,
Well,
but
I
see,
mean, like
up here, the laws
Texas.
are real strict. The laws are real strict out here. I'm just telling you that, like, it's strict.
Loosey goosey.
It's almost no point in having a gun license up here because you can't really use it, like, for what.
I mean,
maybe in Texas y'all can use it. You can't carry it around. Can't walk around with a gun like that. That don't exist up here. Like, we very liberal left state area.
Yeah, and Maryland is weird because you can't have a gun license and a marijuana license at the same time. You can either have one or the other. This the state.
So I want one.
You want one?
I would say, I don't know which one would be more fitting. But sure. Pet peeves. Let me change the subject real quick. Pet peeves. What's your musician pet peeve? Mine, Star Spangled Banner. People singing it. Y'all know why. Ooh, the choir, like, I grew up, I went to college with a lot of talented singers. And then I'm at SAI. So I'm always around really talented singers. And every time I'm at like some sporting event and they go to be about that singing the Star Spangled Banner, it's that and the Rockets red glare, y'all. I already know when they about to shoot themselves in the foot, when they start too low or they start too high. And when they get to Rockets and the Rockets red glare, there's no tonal center where they don't have a gauge. You have to understand intervals to know how far you have to travel to get to that note. And if they start out too high, I'm trying to dummy it down, but they start out too high. Takenya about to laugh. You know where it's going. They're going to change the key. And it's going to be trash after that. Or they forget the words. And to me, the words ain't even that hard. Not saying that, like, I'm not saying like people should know the Star Spangled Banner because, racism and, all that third verse or whatever that exists, whether we sing it or not. But that Star Spangled Banner, that's a pet peeve. That thing drives me nuts. Every time I start doing what my band director in college do, he tilts his head when it's out of tune. He start to try to make it in tune. So I'll be sitting there and be like, I'm a real critic of a Star Spangled Banner. But that's mine. Anybody else?
My mom is like that with the Star Spangled Banner. She's a singer, and some of the syllables, the way they sing them, she gets upset when they do banner, and she's like, no, it's like this. But I just wanted to throw that in there. For me, I think one of the pet peeves, whether it's my kids or just in general, is playing a piece and stopping because you mess up on one note and just sitting there like, ma'am, there's other notes, keep playing. And I think the other one is, I guess, people telling you a lie when you just perform and saying that you either sounded better than you did. Like, if it wasn't that good, just be honest about it. That's the only way we're gonna grow.
My musical pet peeve is people not wanting to compensate us for what we do. Run me my money. Because, just because it's easy for me. And, I think everybody may have different particular situations that they're willing to accept. But, if I'm giving you a piece of me through song, pay me. Because if you could do it, you could do it, but you can't, which is why I'm here. Run me my paper so I can buy more Pokemon cards, whatever them things. Lord God.
She's called Pokemon cards.
Lord Jesus. To follow up what Takenya said, I saw something really good. You're not paying for those little, for the little 30 minutes to an hour. You're paying for the time. I practiced since I was 10 years old. You're paying for all the work I had to do in music theory. You're paying for my practice time. So you're paying for everything behind the scenes. You're not paying for that little bit of time, Just like you pay a carpenter for their craft, or you pay a painter, you pay a mechanic for their time, their expertise. What we do, this is our expertise. So that should be respected just as much as any other trade. So yeah, I totally agree with Takenya. But my musical pet peeve is when other musicians do not carry their weight. And what I mean by carry their weight is practice, or, at least get to a level of understanding with the music where they can get through certain parts. Not everybody's going to get through every part if they don't understand it.
He already fed it just like literally 30 minutes. Krystal, he just gave food 30 minutes.
I'm sorry.
I had a really good friend of mine, and she's a soror too. She said she felt like she didn't have to practice because she wasn't a music major. And that is a lie from the pits of hell. Love her to death, but no, if you are in an ensemble, you need to practice just as much as any music major. Like, not being a music major has nothing to do with your involvement in it. If you're going to be in it, be in it. If not, then don't do it. There's no levels to this. I mean, music majors, they should know better. They should be the leaders and more inclined to do more things, because that's going to be their trade in the future. However, if you are in any type of ensemble, pull your weight.
I wanted to add some things. I forgot. How could I forget the crazy? Like the crazy looking notation in arrangements, like better. Like certain things like that. Come on, that makes it much harder for me. Of course, I can read it, but there's a way to simplify certain things. You could just tell who, with all due respect, doesn't know what they're doing. And the other one, which is the big joker, is people who are not qualified getting these positions that I have worked so hard for all of my life. Like, how did you just walk in that door like that? The head director? What? You got a chemistry degree? A bachelor's? That's it? Oh, okay.
My. Yeah, the notation thing I get, because, especially like for clarinet players, like if they, so I'm in grad school, and I had one of my cohorts, she's very sweet, and she's a composition major. She's getting her master's in composition, and she wanted me and a flute player to perform a piece of hers, a very avant-garde 20th century type piece. And she arranged it for a clarinet. And, I kind of taught her, I said, if you want to be more marketable, you will write it in B flat. You can write it in A if you want, but normally, and she doesn't know, she composes. So, with different instruments, you have to know different things. I'm not going to pick up that A clarinet unless there's an orchestra behind me or a piano accompanist. If I have neither one of those, A clarinet, you're not going to be as marketable on A clarinet. So write it on B flat. You could sell more of your composition if you write it in B flat. Actually, they only did it in A clarinet, like Mozart's clarinet concerto, because the concept of it was actually basset horn. There was no concept of B flat clarinet at that point in history, in the late 1700s. So now that there is a B flat clarinet, there are less compositions in A clarinet. Mozart was transposed to B flat clarinet, but you're expected to play in the A. Don't get me wrong. Schumann, Fantasy Stück in A clarinet. I know how to play it in A and B flat clarinet. Thank you, Dr. Ty, for torturing me. Just little things like that. And the trill keys, like if you have a weird trill like in the throat tones of the clarinet and the break, please make sure you know what you're doing, because, you know, if I have to do something weird with that middle B natural, and if it's not on the trill key, then no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So yeah.
I have a question. So you mentioned being technically adept on your instrument in a couple of different home bases for that instrument. Do y'all run into this where, like, for me, when I take a church gig, some people are like, "Oh, I don't know how to play it in that key." What you mean? Like, what you mean? I be looking for the transpose button. You what now? No, man. You better hit that 251. You better hit that 251. Keep it moving.
So I want to talk about that. I'm touch and agree with that, because I used to play keyboard for church, but at the musician in me could not touch that button. So many times they changed the key in the middle of the song. I just couldn't do it. And there's sometimes a misconception when people don't like know the craft of music. They know it by enjoyment, that you're struggling through it because you're trying to use your skills through it and not cheat your way through it. And so, you know, someone made a comment one day, was like, well, we could get a musician. They could just, they know how to follow us. They're not following you. They're just pushing the button until they find you. And the real issue is you don't know where you at. And so, because you don't know your craft and how it affects my craft. And so I had to touch and agree with that. Like, I refuse to hit that button. Like, I'll go home and shed in it in all keys. But when you start to lose your tonal center, that was my Star Spangled Banner. Yeah, that one right there. But on wind instruments, it can be difficult. Because these pinky daddies, all three, Cybil play clarinet, Lauren play clarinet, I play clarinet. And we know you go to something like F sharp, our fluidity diminishes. Like, it's not saying we can't do it, but it ain't like playing an A flat for us. So sometimes people just don't know. They don't know. But
you
the
use all the pinkies, man.
Yeah, you just start looking like you throwing up gang signs. You playing like this. You set tripping up in here. You got me set tripping. Can we not be set tripping? Like, I'm not repping a set on clarinet. I'm trying to play through this piece.
Or they'll write it in like something dumps. The key will be in C, but put all the accidentals in like F sharp. I was like, why did you just put it in F sharp? Like, why? It just makes me like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's why everybody can't write music for me or my students. And I know Cybil can identify with that. Like, people will offer me, oh, I got this arrangement. I get that joint in my email. I'll be like, I write it myself. Me and Cybil write, so we like, this is nice.
I need them sharps. I need them sharps and flats to make sense. Can't be, like,
I call it, they be mixing, they be biracial keys. Biracial keys. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Where it's really A flat, but you got all these sharps in there. I'm like, which one you want B? Why are we in a mix? Like, we mixed this right now. This is a mixed-ish key. Why we?
Yes, consistency within the music. Stay. If you're going to be in flat, stay in the flat. If you're going to be in sharp, stay in the sharp. Unless, you know, if you're modulated or you're going up chromatically, then you can throw in a sharp or a flat, dependent, or going down, you put a flat, going up, you put a sharp. Yeah, just be consistent.
Me and Cybil studied this. So and I think sometimes as women, people think we need help. We're like, I don't need help writing. Cybil don't need help writing. She don't need help. I don't need help. Cybil studied under all average. She don't need y'all. I'm just gonna, if she ain't gonna say it, I'm gonna say it for her. She don't have to say, she don't need y'all little rap daddy. She don't need it. She good, y'all. She good. I'm gonna do it off the cuff. My next off the cuff is band arranging for a marching band. So just giving y'all, you know how I do off the cuff. So Cybil, just get ready to be on it, because I need somebody to tag team with, because people They think we just arrogant. I don't know, but we be like, and I ain't writing everything on the radio. I get it, keeping it fresh and hot, but I ain't writing everything. Some things ain't worth my pen. Some things not worth my pen, y'all. Some things, nope. So, my next question. Did we finish? Wait a minute. Pet peeves. Did we finish? Who didn't say pet? We did all the pet peeves? Okay. Next question. Name something about yourself that sounds like a lie but isn't. And this is a rapid fire, so you don't have to explain it. You can explain it, but don't explain it long. Because the meat of this, I want y'all to be able to talk about how you got started. So this is, one thing that isn't a lie, but it sounds like a lie.
I've blown holes in armored tanks with some of the weapons that I've shot.
That sounds dangerous and fun all at the same time.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
now.
you are from Texas.
I'm
I'm intrigued too.
Just say what it is.
Handling tanks and missiles. Oh my God.
The weapon is called a saw. It's got a butterfly clip. You sit down on the ground with it. It's right in between your legs. You hit that butterfly clip and wait, no, that was something else. That's one of my favorite ones to fire. But the one that you blow holes in armored tanks with, it sits on your shoulder and it makes this cool little sound like every time. It just goes.
Wait a minute. Is it like a grenade launcher?
No. Well, yeah, kind of, sort of. It's all you got to do is go to basic training and you can do it too. So, if you really want to blow holes in armored tanks, enlist.
Look, I'm sorry. I said grenade launcher because I used to play Duke Nukem all the time. So on my Nintendo 64. So yeah,
that sounds like some Destiny level stuff. My husband played Destiny. That sounds like people who play Destiny. Like, the weapons always make fun. The weapons be having like some legit names, like Harbinger's hatchet. It'd be like some real labyrinth of luck. The item, the weapon be having like a legit name.
Or it'd be like a really girly name, but it's like a very dangerous name.
Sweetest taboo.
We love it.
That sounds like
sweetest
a
taboo.
Weapon.
Sweetest taboo.
This is
You
sweetest
are
taboo. Blow a hole like this big. We being silly. All right, okay. You like to blow up shit. Hey, I believe it though, because your personality matches that. Just saying, sis. All right, who that sounds like a lie, but isn't a lie?
I don't know if it'll sound like a lie, but I am, and probably have always. Well, I know I've always been a tomboy. I guess I just recently started in the past few years, like embracing that womanly side, but that other side is always gonna be in 100% straight, 180 degrees. But I'm a tomboy.
Me too. I just started dressing up. Like when I hit like 35, maybe it's an age thing. Like I hit 35 and I found like my femininity. But I feel like I still don't have it. Like I'll be dressed very feminine, but my demeanor is real like. So I'll be dressed like I feel like my demeanor. But now I'm a little bit better.
And that's why I'm taking those classes, because even though I dress feminine, I still walk like a horse. You know what I'm saying? People are like, yo, cross your legs when you walk. Like, what do you mean cross my legs? That takes a lot of thought.
Like one foot in front of the other. Cross your legs. I think that's what they mean.
You did not just say horse. Like, Cybil, that's you don't walk like a horse. You think you walk like a horse. I don't do good in heels either. Like I wear them. I like shoes, but I don't do good either. Maybe I need to sign up for that class with you, because I may look feminine, but it ain't really there. But you know what? I push back on that word. let's start pushing back on that word. Like, what does that really mean? Like soft and dainty
True.
and quiet and
True.
meek. So
True.
maybe we are feminine. Like I don't know. I think you pretty feminine. I don't think you said you walk like a horse, so I'm not gonna fight you on your perception of how you walk. And I guess I'm gonna assume heels, but they wasn't really designed to walk well anyway. Anybody who knows how to walk in. Matter of fact, men walk better in heels than we do because they have like the leg muscle structure. That's why the queens can kill it in some heels because y'all got the muscle definition.
Yeah, thank you for making sense out of that, Krystal, because I'll be wondering why. It's like, oh yeah, they have the definition. They got the calves, honey. The calves, when it bulges out, it's like, oh my God. They have the height and the muscle and everything I envy about drag queens. So, and so mine. So I was gonna say something weird. I said, my name is Lauren. I'm from the North, and when I was a child, I was allergic to the cold. Like that's. So when I would step out in cold weather, this would be fall, from fall to spring, I would break out in the hives. And the doctor didn't know why. I would just break out in the hives. As soon as I went inside or it got warm, the hives went away. But that was when I was a kid. So that was a childhood allergy. I know people think, how are you allergic to the cold? Like I was allergic to the cold. Like I can't explain it. I want to go back on the femininity bit. I feel like I look like a tomboy, but I'm actually a girly girl. Like I like dresses. I like getting my nails done. I like getting my hair done. I'm about to get these things maintenance this Thursday or Friday. I don't know. I just I got into makeup late though, so that doesn't make you a girly girl. But I looked through my pictures in college, and when we had band practice inside, I knew it wasn't going to be any outside practice. I would dress nice for the day because it just felt good to dress nice and have my hair down, not have it in a freaking ponytail or in a wrap because I'm not outside in the sun. So yeah, one of the reasons why I'm a Zeta. So one of the reasons why I joined Zeta Phi Beta was a finer womanhood thing. And I really like that ideal. I really like that because I wanted to be, I don't know, I really like the womanhood aspect, So yeah, I look like a tomboy, but I'm actually I'm a girly girl. I'm just older and tired and just working from home, and I don't I really don't have anybody to impress right now. So here I am, I still get my hair and nails done, but yeah, just kind of, 10 years ago on Facebook, I said leggings aren't pants. Here I am 10 years later wearing leggings. I haven't worn jeans in like a couple of years. So
you call that growth.
Yep. Huh?
We call that growth. Welcome to the leggings club, because let me tell you, you don't have to iron them. You could dress them up. You could throw a long sweater on them, get some boots, and you look ready to go.
I was just about to say that. Get some boots, put a scarf on it. Yeah, put some long earrings on, be done. Just be done with it. So yeah, I guess that was two things. But yeah, I was allergic to the cold as a kid, and I'm actually a girly girl. So yeah.
I don't know. I agree with now I'm just however I feel. If I feel like being dressed up, blah, blah, blah. If I feel like looking, quote, unquote, like a tomboy, blah, blah, blah. It's like what's functioning. When I was like all the way in the marching band game, it was what's functioning. It was some slides, sweatpants, t-shirt. That was functioning. And braids, because that was easy to do. And then, I got into the workforce, and that forced me to kind of change my look. Because, people don't necessarily always take us seriously if we don't look the part. So that was mine. A lie. Something that seemed like a lie. And people actually, I've almost lost friends over this one. Like, correction, I have lost friends over this one. I have been homeless. Like homeless. Like not I'm staying with my aunt's house. Like, and a lot of people don't know I'm adopted. And the reason I'm adopted is because my mother died when I was like 11. She had AIDS. And I'm talking about when people talk about like poor kids not being able to make it, like that touched me because I'm like, I was a poor kid. I was a poor kid. My mother got AIDS in the 80s. That was a death sentence. And we got kicked out of our apartment. I remember one night we was just packing up stuff. And then the next thing I know, we were getting in the car. And that was bye-bye to where we was living for 2 years. I'm talking living in a car. Car, shelter, whatever, in the Air and Space Museum. So that is my sound like a line. My mother worked for the Air and Space Museum. She got fired because we talked about AIDS back then. And we lived in the museum. She would drop us off in Conda. She was a drug addict. She would drop us off at the museum. We would stay all day, but I always tell people like it was a blessing because my education didn't stop. You know, I wasn't in school like regularly for like 2 years. I went from the 1st grade to the 3rd grade and didn't skip a beat because I was living in a museum, y'all. You just walk around, and we grew up kind of in the museum. So I've had people call my husband and be like, why she tell like stories? Like, you like her to tell stories. I'm like, no, I live in the museum. Like in the museum. But I feel like I had angels and they kept me. They kept me and my sister. And I think it's a testament of like God's blessings because I don't look like I was homeless. And I don't look or sound like I had that type of life. So that's my lie. It used to make me angry. Now I just pick and choose where I say it. But this is my testimony. You know, God could keep you. And I went from the 1st grade to the 3rd grade and lived in the Air and Space Museum off and on throughout that time until, you know, they kind of found out about us a little bit. So that was my life. So when people like, well, why she talk about like she got parents, but then she say that I was adopted, my aunt and uncle. So eventually I started calling them mom and dad. That's out of respect, you know. They act like mom and dad. And for a long time, I didn't want to call them mom and dad because it felt dishonorable to my mother. So that's my lie. I lived in the Air and Space Museum. I'm gonna write a book about it when I figure out. I know I'll be back and forth because I'll be like, people think this is like historical fiction or like some fair. No, it's like this shit real. I got like a chapter. And every now and then I come back to it because it does sound like a great fake book.
I mean, it's a good autobiography.
Yes, you could title it, Thank God I Don't Look Like What I've Been Through.
I even got a title. When I say I have like the transcript, like I've written a full chapter, and then somebody close to me at the time called my husband, was like, you know, she's nice and all, but you really believe these stories? Like, for real. My sister is not all the way together. She lives in a facility because she was older. And so the effects on her is a lot greater than me, who's young. And I just treated it like a giant adventure. My sister was like, nah, she knew. And so I thank God for youth and God's protection of being young. Because when you're young, you don't look at things like it was a field trip every fucking day to me. You know, we went to the cafeteria. The people who worked there knew us. They would feed us. You know, we go to the IMAX and watch movies in there all day. We give like little tours. The people thought we were geniuses. We really was living in there. And I grew up there, so it's real crazy. But it's called Through Air and Space. It's Between Air and Space. That's the title. I'll show you, Lauren. Like, you gonna be like,
that makes a good book and a good movie too.
Yeah, it's called Between Air and Space. Yeah, I know. I'll write it. Like, I keep having people tell me, like, write it. I don't know. Well, I'm not. I don't know. I might do it. That's my lie. I live in the between air and space, literally. So, I don't look at it the way people are like, oh God. When you're going through, sometimes you don't always see the storm you're in until you're out. So, Takenya is cooking dinner because she got a family and she being nice, and my husband cooked dinner. Yay, husband for cooking dinner. Woohoo, he can really cook too. The next question: how did you get started on your musical journey? I know this might take a while to, but you know, we got it's just 7:00, so I kind of gauge the time. I think well too. And Takenya, you could come back with your, you know, with your spill after you done eating. She just kind of, I'm gonna turn my camera off like a Zoom. So how'd you get started on your journey as a musician?
So for me, it was I was in the 5th grade. My mom, she played in high school. She played clarinet and saxophone and oboe. She played every woodwind instrument except for bassoon, because she was one of those people. Her high school band director could move around. Like if he needed her on bass clarinet, so he was like, "Helena, can you please play bass clarinet?" She marched saxophone in high school, did all that. So when I was in the 5th grade, I wanted to play clarinet. And her and my elementary school band director, they plotted and they were like, "No, you're going to play oboe." I said, "What the hell is an oboe? What is that?" So my high school band director, my elementary school band director, Mr. Tony Towns, gave me an oboe reed. That's how I learned how to play oboe. He said, "Blow through this for like a week." I kept blowing through it and whatever, you know, that weird sound that oboe reeds make. Then he had me play the instrument, and I played it throughout middle school. I actually made all county 8th grade, which I don't know how. I thought I was horrible, but made all county. Mr. Andrew Mitroff, he was my 6th grade and my 8th grade band director. He was very good. My 7th grade band director, I'm not going to say her name. Unfortunately, she was my only woman band director. She, to me, wasn't all that great, but she was also a lesson because she taught me what to not do on the podium. So, you know, I like to mention that. But
That's Miss Presley,
yeah,
right?
Miss Prizzy. Yeah, I said I wasn't gonna say her name, but yeah, Miss Prizzy. She had a lot going on personally, so it affected her work. And I went to a middle school with a very good performing arts program. We had a good orchestra. We had 2 orchestras. We had 3 bands. We had concert band, symphonic band, and wind ensemble, which was the highest. So I started concert band, then wind ensemble. Then symphonic band, then wind ensemble. We had a good dance program, good art program, good choir, theater, all that. So this brings me to high school. When I started clarinet, I met James Goff. He's also Morgan State alum, just like Mr. Towns was. And he was like, you know, we don't do oboe and marching band. And my mother was like, "Well, I have a clarinet." She was like, "Don't worry about it. I got a clarinet." I played on my mom's clarinet from high school. Turns out I became a better clarinet player than oboe player. So I've started, I guess I played clarinet more than I played oboe, but I doubled on clarinet and oboe in high school and concert band because, you know, there were oboe solos and stuff. So my entire band staff at Morgan State, at Milford Mills, see, we were little M3. Morgan State was big M3. We were Magnificent Marching Machine as well. The entire band staff, they all went to Morgan, and I believe they're all Eta Gamma. They're all Eta Gamma KK Psi. So, you know, that's how I knew about Kappa Kappa Psi. And yeah, so going to college, I went to St. Augustine's College for a year, now university, but the accreditation was iffy. One football game, we played North Carolina Central, and they brought the band, and they were playing on white clarinets. I said, and they sounded good. I said, let me audition for these guys. So I met Kishana and Austin, and they took me to Band Blast in 2005, and I auditioned on both clarinet and oboe, and for Mr. Reed, my band director at the time. And I ended up playing, transferred to North Carolina Central, majored in clarinet. And so that was the beginning of my musician journey. It actually stopped after I graduated. after I graduated, and that goes towards the next question. Do you feel like you were supported? But I stopped and I went the money route, started working for the education system, then the government. I stopped playing in like 2011, 2012, and then picked it back up in 2015. And eventually I worked my way up into auditioning for grad schools, auditioned for Jackson State, for Towson University, and for Morgan State for performance. I was this close to going to Jackson because I really wanted to study under Dr. Hollinger. But it wasn't conducive for me to go down there. And actually, I'm glad I stayed up here because of what my grandmother passed away this year. So I couldn't leave the state. So now I am a performance major at Morgan. It has opened many doors for me. I had my first orchestral gig on my birthday, playing for the John Hopkins Concert Orchestra. Had a gig playing in a musical, my first bass clarinet gig, which was pretty cool. It was at a high school. I played E-flat clarinet in the concert this year. So it just opened many doors. So I'm glad I picked it up. I lost my passion for a bit and I picked it back up. Then when you work your passion, you will find opportunities will open up for you. So yeah, this is pretty much my musician journey.
I'm glad you picked it back up. There's a lot of people running around.
Krystal, your sound.
Are we doing, is this thing doing some stuff again?
We heard that.
I heard that. Maybe if I'm angry, because nothing.
Okay,
none of my
it's
stuff
better.
is plugged into this damn MacBook. I hate it. Can y'all hear me now? No. Stupid. All right, I'm gonna sign back in from my phone. Y'all can keep the party. I'll be back. I hate this MacBook.
My bad, y'all. I had to go tend to dinner there. I'm making a chicken tetrazzini, and it looks delicious.
A chicken como? Tetrazzini?
A chicken, como se dice tetrazzini, yeah.
Pasta?
I just took some spaghetti and I took some chicken breasts and like shredded them and seasoned them up real good and got a little Alfredo, some cream of chicken, my seasons and spices until the ancestors said, that's enough, child.
Yes.
That's enough. And I just put it in the oven. And then I go downstairs and I'm like, my husband is down there. He's fixing meatloaf. So he said he's doing meatloaf and like red potatoes. These kids gonna be eating. Everybody gonna be full and fine.
That's right. I came back to food. Damn. I'm hungry. Thanks to Kenya for talking about food. I'm over here eating these little Cheetos. I got a guinea pig screaming for food because my son hasn't realized we want to pack. Yeah, Oreo is having a fit, and I need the boy to like fill the bowl with food. Like he'd come down with like a leaf, and then the white came down with like another leaf. I was like, feed the animal. It's a rodent. They eat all day. That's what they do. They trying to treat like it's a damn dog. No, dogs you just put out a little bit. No, this is an animal that eats and scavenges his entire life. So this little thing screaming in the background, then that stupid MacBook. You gonna hear me talk about Apple products, man. Close this joint. Die, computer, die. Back to Lauren. Lauren, I'm glad you have the Morgan State, the national treasure. Welcome. I'm glad you went to North Carolina Central because I met people through you from North Carolina Central, and they pretty dope people too. Yeah, y'all the Eagles. We the Bears. We eat Eagles, but it's okay. It's okay. Bears eat a lot of things kind of at the top of the food chain, sometimes.
But no, I enjoy my band experience at Central because under our band director, we went to places that otherwise we wouldn't have gone to. So I could be upfront about that and say, I had a good band experience, but also I'm having a good musical experience at Morgan State now. Like a lot of people are happy that I'm going there now because I should have went there in the first place. But I'm
you checked the right box.
Yeah. I am enjoying it at Morgan. There's a lot of good opportunities there, and the school itself, the college, Morgan is good. It's a really good school. A lot of people sleep on it. So if it's not Howard, it's not it. No, Morgan is kind of there too.
Howard in the ghetto, y'all. It's in the middle of the ghetto. I ain't paying $40,000 a year to be in the middle of the ghetto. I'm sorry, I had to say that. I'm sorry. You may continue.
Is it a whole keeping your head over water moment? It's a whole.
Yeah, they just they expensive. So my Howard friends, including my frat brother, is gonna come for me for saying this. But Lauren, that was the perfect analogy. So I'm gonna blame Lauren. Lauren said that Howard is like that type of money where you're privileged and you're living off of daddy's money, but you really like your kid is a crackhead and your kid like your kid blow all of daddy's money and don't know how to manage life and don't like Howard's living off his name, y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all get Howard people, y'all can come for me. One of my best friends,
I did say that. I said they are a trust baby. They are a trust baby that don't have to do anything. So they just blow all the money on drugs and alcohol and women or men or whatever they're liking. And they just, you know, they live it off of daddy's, you know, business or great granddaddy's business that they made, you know, they're Fortune 500 company, and you know, they're just kind of living off of it. I have much respect for Howard University, but I think at the moment, I wouldn't send my child there. Not right now. No. So if I had children, I wouldn't like, no, you know, you could do better.
They are the Mecca, and they're the home to almost all of the organizations that exist. Pan-Hellenic, and you know, for SAI, they're the first Black chapter. They're the Alpha chapter, Black chapters for Phi Alpha and SAI. So I got a lot of good frat there, and they some talented musicians. It's just they in the ghetto, and you know, if you won't mind the ghetto and paying $40,000 to be in the ghetto for 4 years, then you know, have at it. You know, whatever makes you. We're rivals, so we supposed to talk trash about each other.
Both can be true. Both
yes. Dollicism.
Yes.
Two things can be true and false at the same time. So it's a good school if you okay with spending $40,000 a year. You know, that's all I'm gonna say.
In the ghetto.
In the ghetto. It's a good song to write. I don't know, Cybil, you got that in your arsenal?
I don't, but that is a nice song. It would be nice to arrange.
There you go. All right, who got your story? How'd you get started?
Let's see here. Very simple. I think it was, well, first of all, both my parents play instruments. My mom is a piano player and a vocalist, and my father's he plays electric guitar. Started out on trombone. She's the minister of music at our church, so I kind of been around it all the time. But oddly enough, I don't do anything in the church as far as music since I got out of high school. My dad was like Joe Jackson. He had all us in there playing. You know, we got paid, but he took some of the money, talking about some this for your gas, riding my car. I'm like, dang, I'm working for nothing. But anyway, there was this cartoon called Really Rosie that was written by Mari Sendak, and Carole King did all of the music. Oh my God. There was a song on there. Y'all have to check it out. It was called One Was Johnny, where they counted. 1 was Johnny who lived by himself. 2 was the rat who jumped on his shelf. 3 was the cat who chased the rat. 4 was the dog who came in and sat. But it went all the way up to where he stood on a chair and he said, here's what I'll do. I'll start to count backwards, and when I am through, if this house isn't empty, I'll eat all of you. Then these French horns came in harmonically like, bah, bah, bah. I said, oh my God, those horns really, from that day, I was like, I got to get an instrument. That thing was banging. The whole musical was banging. Y'all have got to watch it. But that single-handedly is the reason I got on an instrument. And I didn't choose the clarinet. My parents had one in the closet from Goodwill. I just put it together. I think I was supposed to be a trombone player, but I chose the clarinet from there. That's how I got my start. Carol King, and I would love to meet her. She is still, alive and well.
We got similar stories. Mine came out the trunk of a car.
And it was kind of broken too. I put it together, really not even all the way. It was the mouthpiece, the barrel, and the upper joint. And I was playing Milli Vanilli, Sign Your Name Across My Heart on the side keys. I was like, whoa, I can't wait to get the rest of this together.
Side keys.
Yes, like what in the world is
all
happening?
the alternate daddies. She's playing like she was in a synagogue. She knew all them alternate daddies because them clarinets, they know all the alternates.
Yeah. Well, it was my mom's clarinet. It was in the closet for the longest. So yeah, I get it.
How many of y'all first teachers still alive? Because we getting up there. Mine. Yeah, I know, Cybil. Y'all just lost. Like, staff from Central. I saw that.
He was my first instructor before they got Dr. Ty there too. So that was crucial.
Oh, that thing hurt my heart so badly. Mr. George was so nice, and he will always be there. And it didn't matter what organization you were in, what ensemble you were in. He supported the band, the choir, the jazz ensemble, vocal jazz ensemble, KK Side TBS, Phi Mu Alpha, SAI. If we knocked on the door, say, "Hey, Mr. George, we're having a program, can you help us set up?" He was there. He would just say, "Okay, just meet me and just tell me a time." Like nothing was inconvenient for him. He was always soft-spoken. He always got his point across, but he was never rude, never disrespectful. Always got he was a very simple person who made such a big impact for all of us. So yeah.
And just to add, people have to replace. And honestly, they will have to get whoever's going to replace him has to be like an octopus for real, because that man did everything. So
everything.
And seeing how they going to replace him.
He's irreplaceable in my opinion. Oh yeah, he's also a charter member for Zeta Sigma chapter Kappa Kappa Psi, and he was a former drum major for NCCU. But yeah, I think he's irreplaceable.
I think we're approaching that time where we're gonna start losing we're losing the icons now, like not just in like music education, just in Black music, period. Like we're just losing the people who study to show themselves approved. Like that's what I think about when I think about a lot of the Black musicians. Since it is Black Music Month, like those are people who you could put them anywhere and they would succeed. Like their race didn't matter, like none of that mattered. You can put one of those type of teachers in white school, Black school, poor school, rich school, no resources, and they just thrive because they know so much about how to do it that they just don't fail because they just get a wealth of information. And I feel like that's one of those arts that's starting to get lost is we don't have people who study, like, and we get all these kind of excuses now, and it's starting to hurt my heart as a poor kid. Like I'm still poor-minded sometimes in my thinking about how I approach things. Like, oh, I can't not know, or I can't not know the answer. I have to work. You work for what you want to be successful in. Like, I don't want to be quote unquote capping and act like I know something. Like I need to know, and if I don't know, I need to go find out. We are losing that iconic thing about being Black sometimes is that can't nothing hold us back. Like we be like, oh, we ain't doing that. It just hurts. Like for real. Like if somebody who ain't have a lot, when people use that like as an excuse, so man, like Black kids can't read, Black kids can't do this. Like, nah, because I was that Black kid. Like I was that kid. So when you talk about them like that, you talking about me. And I know personally, I think I'm pretty damn smart. So I don't like, where we're heading sometimes. And it does concern me like for the future. Kenya, how'd you get started, ma'am?
To your point, thanks for asking. It's up to us to hold to the standard. It's up to us to hold to the standard because we know what it looks like. But the way I started was, I know y'all mentioned like, oh, my first instrument was in the closet or it was in the trunk. Well, when I first started, I just didn't have one. Nobody at my house had a piano. So when I took that first lesson in the 4th grade, it was really because my cousins and I wanted to be in the same class at the same time, and piano was offered during the school day. So it was like, yeah, we'll take that. And so 4th, 5th, 6th grade, it was piano. 7th, 8th grade, it was choir. A little bit of high school was like choir, gospel choir. 15, I was voluntold that I was the new piano player for the church, you know. So it was a whole lot of, if I'm doing really good, I hear my grandma saying, thank you, Lord. But if my fingers just ain't finding the right place, I'm hearing my grandma saying, help her, Lord. I mean, like, no pressure, right? You know, I'm only 15, grandmother. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm trying. But when I ended up at FAMU on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida, I actually did not go there as a music major. I went as a biology major. I've always been a science geek. I've always been a nerd. Star Trek over Star Wars, you know, I'm just saying. But yes, Lauren, I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I grew up in both. Star Trek and Star Wars are equal in our household. My mom had episodes 4 through 6. That was before. See, people don't know that the first movies that came out in the 70s are actually the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th movies. They don't. Then they in the early 2000s they 1 through 3, and then these last few years, which is a travesty, they did 7 through 9. But yeah, Star Wars, Star Trek are equal in our household. I remember Next Generation. I remember all that. You know, this is like this is a genetic trait. Some people can do it, some people can't. You see, Krystal, yeah, I can do it on both hands, but it's harder on my left hand. But I'm sorry, Takenya. Continue.
The struggle. I'm over here like forcing, like, please stay, don't close. And it closes back up. But yeah, at FAM, I didn't go as a music ed major. I mean, that wasn't on the horizon for me, but that D in chemistry changed my mind. And I really had to think about what was serving me. And it was always music. So in the low points in my life, in those valleys, I find that music has always been there. It's always been the thing that I keep coming back to. And so like when I say like music is my love language, and by the way, this is a Black-owned t-shirt brand. I don't know who these people are, but look up the Music is My Love Language t-shirt and get your own, support Black businesses. But yeah, music has always been my first love. It has always served me. It's always been my best way to communicate. It's always been my way to just be me.
I need you to, Kenya, go ahead and put that link in the chat. You know, support Black businesses. We're going to support one. I like that shirt. So, you know, I'm going to get one of them little shirts. And, you know, it's red and white. So definitely going to get that because, you know, get to double as, you know, fraternity gear to me. In my mind, that's what it looked like. My mom was a Trekkie, and she's rolling over in her grave to hear the idea that it could coexist in a house. I'm just saying that, Lauren. I know my Trekkie mom is like, what? Where they do that at?
Yeah, Star Trek, Star Wars, Dune. They watch Dune. I have to rewatch the old movies though, because I really don't know what Dune is about. So yeah, and my grandmother was into that stuff too, like the sci-fi stuff. We watched a lot of it. So yeah.
Yeah, we some sci-fi heads, you know, from the Vine household. We would sit and watch sci-fi all day. Especially the good 80s sci-fi, because 80s sci-fi and like this modern stuff, it's two different levels of sci-fi. Like 80s stuff, you know, you gotta look past the cheesy tech that they had going on and just get them. You know, that's why I love Stranger Things so much, because it feels very nostalgic. It's very nostalgic to how life was for us that like that type of stuff in the 80s, those 80 movies. They did a real good job with having that flavor. So,
okay, E.T. and Gremlins. E.T. scared the crap out of me as a little kid. I don't know why. I said, oh my God, his stomach is glowing. Yeah, it's like he walks. Okay, that E.T., Gremlins. I'm like, those are my favorite as a kid movies. The Never Ending Story, the Dark Crystal.
That Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal.
What is it called? Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
That was so odd, but the music was hot. Cause Sting was
really
in it. That music was hot, y'all. I gotta go back.
It wasn't Sting. It was David Bowie. It was David Bowie.
Yeah, David Bowie. The music, I remember, like, there was a song when they were going up the steps upside down, and like yes, I remember all those things. That music
was the Labyrinth part. I really loved it. And, you know, little quirky stuff, even though it's not considered sci-fi. The Princess Bride, I really love The Princess Bride.
Rodents of a usual size.
Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome, all that Conan. Yeah. Man. And
Godzilla.
Beautiful Grace Kelly. Not Grace Kelly, Grace Jones.
That was my Saturday.
That was good TV back then, man. That's why they keep redoing this stuff, because it's so iconic. Like, they're not that creative nowadays. They can't create that type of like plot, even though there was holes in that plot, but they don't have that type of creativity. That's what it is, that creative mind. So that's why they keep redoing everything, you know. And that's why I feel like music is like what we do, because that creative mind. Lauren had to go. She gotta go pick up her sister work. She got a little sister that's like 10 years younger than her. That's like a little sister. I'm the middle child, and we all kind of close in age, so I don't have to take care of my little brother. Thank God. I don't know. So how I got started, it's only till recently I think I started within the last 5 years telling people that Roosevelt Pratt was my band director, because I didn't know for a while. We lost contact. So my introduction to music was at the worst time of my life. My mother died. I signed up for band. My mother played clarinet. I didn't, I wasn't intending on playing clarinet. I wanted to play saxophone. They was like, they looked at the price of the saxophone, was like, we can't do that. And then I had a cousin who played clarinet like 15 years before I was alive. And my uncle had a clarinet. So, but I sat in band for a couple of months with no instrument, like nothing. So I was just watching, like I watched people play. And the band director at elementary school, I only had her for like 6 months because I didn't have no instrument. And by the time I started playing, it was like the spring concert. I learned all the music for the spring concert in like 6 weeks because I didn't have an instrument. So I had nothing to play, but I was real creative. I like cut out like a clarinet, like with the holes. It looked like a giant recorder to me. And I put it together wrong as hell too, Cybil. Girl, that bar between the upper and lower joint, I probably knocked that joint all the way off because I just was eager. So my uncle called my uncle who adopted me and was like, well, I got a clarinet from your cousin, younger cousin. She done gone to college and whatever. She never played it, but she hadn't played it in like 15 years. That joint sat in his trunk for like 15 years. Let me tell y'all, when he opened that joint, it was like one of them relics. Since we talking about 80s movies, it's like Indiana Jones when they go to the temple and they blow the dust. But if you touch it a certain way, it disintegrates. Listen, I watched that joint. I watched the cork in my mind disintegrate in my eyes. Like as soon as I pick it up, that joint started. It just started falling off. So, it needed an overhaul. I got it completely overhauled at a place that I still take my instrument to called ATEC. In Maryland. It's in Southern Maryland in PG, because I'm from PG, and they overhauled it for $60. I will never forget how much it cost to overhaul. When I say overhaul, repadded, recorked, you can't get nothing done to an instrument for under for $60, they might put a screw back nowadays, but they overhauled that Selmer Bundy, an old school latch case. Back when band directors used to write your name on the case with whiteout, I don't know if y'all that old, but they used to put, we ain't had no name tags and shit. It was just tape and marker. And then that tape sit on there after about 10 years. It's like all this tape stuff on it. But that's how I started. I started playing clarinet. My mom died, and I went to middle school. And so I'd only been about 6 months at that point without my mom. And I walked into Roosevelt Pratt's band room, and life got better. So I like this title. Sometimes you gotta preach to yourself. Life got better because I walked into a band room. So when people say band save kid lives, trust me, I know, because real talk, every day I was thinking about suicide. Every single day I woke up, I said, I don't want to be here anymore. So I walked in Pratt's band room, and he was so energetic and so like enthusiastic. I was like, I don't really know how to play this music he got in his folder all that good. Like, but I was like, everybody like sound good, and he's real like culturally relevant teaching. It's a title now, but like good directors and good music teachers been doing this shit for decades. And he would hear something on the radio and come in real fired up and write it on the board like a little 8-bar rap daddy, so to speak. And he was not from Maryland. So he would listen to music that we were listening to, and then like come in with the music, like on a little sheet of papers, handwritten out. You gonna play this? Oh, we gonna play this. And I'm like, dang, I didn't know you could play stuff off the radio. That was new to me. All I had was that method book, that First Division band book, red cover. Then if you get to book 2, it's like an orange cover, and then the colors keep changing, old school. But it was so fun. I wanted to wake up every day and go to band. That was my life. That's where it started. And then I got to high school, and we had a band director for a little bit. Well, I went to what's the school? Oxon Hill for like a second, but my sister went to Gwynn Park High Schools in Southern Maryland, Prince George's County. We moved from the richest like Black county. So when I moved in with my aunt, uncle, and they adopted me, I went from nothing to privilege, like straight past go collect $200, and now all of a sudden, like you got all these resources. You go to school and there's stuff in your classroom because poor schools and poor communities don't have shit. And so Pratt got me to a point where when I left middle school band, I could sight read a grade 4 up and down. That's how good of a teacher he is. So I always shout him out. Like, he was serious about whatever we did, you played it, and he would demonstrate and model. He would get right behind you and play it. So it's real cool, like how he started. And then I got to Gwynn Park because my sister went to Gwynn Park, but I wanted to go to the magnet school. But they were like, your sister has a card. We don't trust her to go to school by herself because she's not going to go to school. But if you are in the car with her, she has to go to school. So I ended up at Gwynn Park, and my band director got lupus like about 6 months in. She's pregnant. Lupus runs in my family. So I knew what that meant. And she just didn't come back. She couldn't come back. So it went 2 years without a director. So all of my college prep came from middle school, from Pratt. That's a strong, I always talk about strong pedagogy. It's those people on the elementary, middle school level that set you up for greatness. If they not good or you don't have a feeder, all that work shouldn't be on high school. So I got to high school, didn't have a band director for like 2 years, and then got a band director in my senior year, into junior year. He was trash. He had no management. So every day it was just like a joke. But I would come play my instrument every single day, whether people were playing cards, not really engaged or whatever. And and then I signed up. I applied for college, and I wanted to go to school in North Carolina because Pratt talked about North Carolina A&T. He showed us videos of North Carolina A&T. Everything in the band room was North Carolina A&T. It was Aggie, 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 Aggie. He was trying to set his alma mater up for greatness. And I went on college tours in North Carolina. my family's from North Carolina. We're originally from Snow Hill, North Carolina. So we country bumpkins. So we relocated to Maryland, so to speak. And I looked at A&T campus and I was like, maybe not. And so I ended up Morgan. I applied to Morgan in May of my senior year. And I got in like a week later because I had a good GPA. I was smart. And so I went to Morgan, and I didn't know what HBCUs were. I didn't know that there was like a title for Black schools. Like if you live up here, like if you Black, you just know Howard, Morgan. Not even at the time Eastern Shore, but you know Howard, Morgan, Bowie. But you didn't know that it was like a classification of Black schools. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I mean, I've seen Howard, Hampton, and all these schools, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I came to marching band, and, you know, it was just more like an extension of what I was experiencing in middle school. It was like we playing like fun music, but, you know, even our music was really hard for Woodwind. Like Melvin and Miles doesn't like double clarinets unless there's a purpose behind it. Like clarinet part, flute part, saxophone part will be some stuff that you got to put headphones on to hear. But when you got it, you appreciate it because it makes you work. That's another reason. I wasn't going to sit down in band either. I was like, I ain't sitting down in marching band because, you know, brass. But that was how I got started myself. The last question of the night. Let's see, I lost my little thing. Do you feel like you were supported in your music journey? Do you feel like you were supported? And Lauren, you're back with us. You in the car. I don't know if you can talk. Do you feel like you were supported?
Yeah, absolutely. I can talk. Okay, so I would say yes and no. Initially, I was. You know, it's kind of like, and this is current, how everybody is like pro-life, but then after y'all give birth to the baby, y'all just don't want to take care of the baby. You know, I know. It's a good analogy though, because my mom pushed me to play oboe, but she refused to pay for lessons. I'm like, I can't. When I know now, as a musician, if I were to encourage a child to play oboe, I would encourage them to get lessons, because that's an instrument I had to learn on my own, like on my own practice time. No YouTube, no nothing. You know, I just had to learn the instrument. And, you know, it was hard. You know, it's kind of unfair to have that expectation to play an instrument like that without any type of support, because I didn't know that that for the longest time I didn't know a lot of oboe players and bassoon players, double reed players, they make their own reeds. Like, that's how proprietary the reeds are. You know, the store-bought reeds aren't any good. And, you know, I was sitting here wondering why I can't advance as an oboe player, is because I didn't know how to make my own reeds. You know, I didn't have the low B flat key on the side, things like that. So, and on that aspect, I was not supported. I was supported on the level of, you know, like, well, you can do whatever you want to do, but, you know, just the extra things like the private lessons and stuff. I didn't get my first private lesson until I was in college. By then I was on clarinet. And even, that's why I said, I feel like at MCCU I had a good band experience, but I didn't have a good musical experience. At Morgan, I'm having a better musical experience because I feel like I'm playing with people that are at my level of musicianship. And I love my friends from Central. I will never give up my experience from Central. I love North Carolina Central, but I just feel like that caliber of musicianship wasn't there for a lot of people. And I had nobody there that was better than me, that could show me better. I had my private lesson instructor, but I didn't have classmates that I could lean on to, you know, get tips from or to learn from. So I pretty much had to learn everything on my own. And that, you know, that's the life of a performance major. So that's not
that's not a complaint, but it's more of feeling like I was alone in that, in while I was in undergrad. And I didn't have a good mentor. Like, I didn't know what, performance is very competitive. So I didn't know what the career paths would be. I don't know if I froze or not. I don't know what the career paths would be in music. And it wasn't until later that I found out about arts management, which is why I also go to American University. I didn't know that, you know, the orchestra, I mean, of course I knew they had people behind the scenes, but how did they get those jobs? You know, I feel like, and me and Dr. Ty, my clarinet instructor at Central, we had this conversation before I was auditioning for grad school. She said, you know, North Carolina Central produces educators. You become an educator. And that was the focus of the program. So, so basically she was trying to tell me I needed to pick a program that, sorry about that. I needed to pick a program that fit me. You know, that was the goal of North Carolina Central, to produce educators and produce jazz studies majors. So it wasn't that, so the support I needed because of the goal of the school. But also I felt like, you know, they didn't pay attention to me until my senior recital. And they were like, oh, you can play. And my department chair asked me, she was like, did you ever consider joining an orchestra? I said, this is all I wanted to do. But that at that point I was over it and was ready to graduate. So, you know, yeah, I just feel like it could have been better. I could have had better mentorship at that time. So, yeah, you know, everything was a learning experience for me. You know, I do kind of resent my musical time at North Carolina Central. I'm not going to lie, but everything is a learning experience. So now that I know better, I'm doing better and I'm back at it.
And I think that's important. You know, it's not how you start, it's like how you finish, and like, what do you get out of the experiences along the way? Because you can learn a lot through bad experiences. Like, and I think for you probably just at the point where, like, you're older and you're wiser, and, you know, when you know better, you do better, so to speak. But that's not saying that the school is bad. It's just that I look at a lot of our HBCUs as mom and pop shops. They're specialized in, like, what the school, what becomes their niche, but they don't always build up those other weak areas. And that's just across the board, because a lot of our HBCUs started out as teacher colleges, Bible colleges, engineering schools, and that becomes the focus. And then, you know, it is what it is. But you here now, you know, and you growing and you learning. Takenya, you know, I know you gotta eat, and we all gotta eat. We all about to get off of here in a second.
So the times where I always felt supported was always from my teachers. My teachers have always supported me. But the times where I did not feel supported was when, I'm just gonna put it on out there, when I got fired for being knocked up at a church I was playing at. My cart was before the horse, so to speak. And they sat me down and told me that a person in my condition should not be in this position. But they had no problem with me lugging my keyboard wherever they had service at. The problem existed for them once my belly started showing. So that's where I did not feel supported in the church. And that's been an ongoing pattern for me, where I just do not feel supported in the church. I cannot be who I am as I am in a church. That's not me saying like I'm LGBTQ or whatever. You know, that's not what I'm saying here. I'm not speaking in that vein. I'm just talking about just me as I am, because I have children who are. And if they're not welcome, I'm gonna say my words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say my words.
And that, you know, that's unfortunate that, like, we the places where you're supposed to be accepted, you know, come as you are, as long as you're not that. that's just, that's just the reality of it. And we miss out a lot of talent. And my bishop says this all the time. He says, you don't have a problem with them when they're running your choir. And I'm like, ooh, Bishop, you touching deep. You don't have a problem with it when they're designing your clothes and all that stuff, but then you got a problem with it. We're selective with what it is that we do.
When they on that organ, it ain't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
They leading that choir, it ain't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem for me. It's a problem for me because, there are just certain characteristics about my body that I cannot tuck in. What you want me to do? So, I mean, just I've never been more let down anywhere than in the church, repeatedly, across both sides of the Mississippi. So
that's a whole show.
Yeah, that's a lot. So that's where I've not felt supported. But other than that, yeah, it's good. Oh yeah, and then, well, I mean, I ain't trying to turn this into therapy or nothing like that. But yeah, we just gonna leave it at that.
We need to take our time on a topic like that. That needs to be take our time, literally and figuratively. That's a good topic, though. That's a good topic because that's important for Black people. Like, musician and religion sometimes don't pair well for us, especially when we study. Just being real. Cybil, supported or no?
Now that I look back at it, elementary, middle, high school, I was very supported. But in college, I will say it was about 70% support. But I think the area where I desired it the most, I was not getting it. And it was first I'll say I kind of had the same situation kind of as Lauren, to the extent was I was the only clarinet major there. Really, everybody else was just playing clarinet. So I didn't have other people that, I could kind of relate to. And Mr. George was my original clarinet instructor who just passed away, but he supported in the sense of getting Dr. Ty and bringing her on because he knew that he had reached his limit of what he could teach me. So I appreciate him for that. But as far as, with all due respect, the arranging area and the marching band and getting my stuff played, I was not supported. I was always up under two other people. Mm-hmm. Whenever we had competitions, who's the best, it was never me. But in my mind, it was always me. Yes, I said it. But that area, that really hurt my heart because the funny thing is, when I got to Norfolk, I say it all the time, they rolled out the red carpet. Now I was confused, like, what in the world? This is not how can this be? But I embraced it. And again, I'm not bashing anybody. I enjoyed both universities, but my mind was boggled at how different it was as far as the acceptance in graduate school, as far as that, and putting me in the forefront and allowing me to write for the band and letting me conduct it and letting that stuff be played. Like, it took so long to get to that point, and I don't feel like it should have.
It shouldn't have. Like, just to be honest, like, and it's changing. We always say that the scenery is changing for women, especially Black women in instrumental music. It is like, but it's still not where it should be. But I completely feel you, Cybil. But that lack of support is why we don't have the representation we do. Like, who wants to go into something if they're not supported, if they're going to be always ostracized? It's like you're signing up to be a whooping child sometimes. Like, you're signing up to, like, it's that statement I hate sometimes when we talk about gender roles and being in the house and being a woman band director, being married is tough. Being a musician, active musician, woman, and having to keep balance in the house. Like, Takenya got to go cook dinner, and she loves her kids. She gonna do it. She loves her family. But I hate this statement. I should have put it on my pet peeve. Well, y'all chose this, but we didn't choose to not have support. Like that. We don't say that to I rarely see husbands high up in the marching band game, in the band game, where their wife ain't doing something to help. And I know there's that stigma like helpmate, and that's that part of our Christianity and our gender roles that kind of push that. But like, I ain't signed up to not have help. Like, if you see somebody struggling with like 20 bags, you're not gonna be like, well, they chose to carry 20 bags. That's just rude, nasty. So I kind of feel you on that. And it's sad that you went to another HBCU and you got a different feel. And there's a lot of people I'm finding are unhappy with their HBCU experiences. And that's not knocking HBCUs. We don't always choose based on a major in that HBCU's niche and what they're known for, or what they have a lot of financial support. We don't always choose that way. I chose blindly. I'm not even gonna lie, because I'm a first generation college student. I didn't know everything about the schools I was going to, and it just kind of lucked out. Like, I got lucky. Like, that's why, people could talk about how I bang with Morgan all day long. I will never, not because it's where I went, because I'm not lying. Like, it was a good experience for my ass, like across the board. I got to be on a podium as a freshman. I know if I had gone somewhere else, they wasn't letting my girl 5'2" ass on no podium. Like, but I did get battle tested. And I think people don't understand. There's one thing to not get an opportunity, and then you get the opportunity and they're just giving it to you because you're a woman, or you this or you that. There's another to get the opportunity, but still have to prove yourself on fair grounds. I had to prove myself on fair grounds. Like, it wasn't, you can't get on this podium because you're a girl. It was, all right, show it to me. All right, I'm gonna edit, and then have somebody that would take time to look and critique your shit, and before it is shit. So I appreciated that. Like, I got told to go back to the drawing board on some things, but there was assistance and there was guidance, and I don't think I would have got that at quote unquote a bigger HBCU. That opportunity wouldn't have been there to write. Like, a freshman on the podium writing is unheard of. I think I put out my first arrangement in like November of my freshman year. And I don't come from like a big, a first year college student. It's not like I had a name behind me. I came from the middle of nowhere, but I got a chance. And it's unfortunate that people ain't getting a chance. So mine, I'm a little bit like lamenting that my band director is retiring, because I'm like, whose office am I going to when I have a bad day at work? Like, who am I gonna call? Like, I can't just go to Carl J. Murphy Fine Arts Building and sit in that office and say, how would you handle this? Like, that's intimate time and investment that I got from my school that is not across the board. And it hurts my heart to hear Black women say, my school didn't do these things for me. I didn't do this. And people like, well, she gonna bang for her university health? Yeah, I am. Because it couldn't. And I had a complete meltdown my junior year, because all of that stuff I talked about earlier came crashing down like one year. And he wrote me a personal letter, like handwritten letter. My band director was like, encourage me. It'll be okay. I look forward to you coming back. And it made me come back, because I was like, I can't quit on me when people don't quit on me. So it's unfortunate. I had a great time. I had got what I wanted. There was some bad, like my first orchestration teacher was a Black woman. She was young. She had her doctorate, and she was one of those. All the skin folk ain't kin folk. She was nasty, and she failed me just because. Like, it wasn't like, I'm failing you because you don't know what you're doing. I'm failing you because you are not Eurocentric in your thinking about this. And we're not talking about not knowledgeable, but she was coming to class bragging about dating white men type chick. Like, that was like half the class period talking about how she doesn't date Black men. And you teach Black men, and everybody sitting in there like, if you don't get your Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer wearing clothes self, I never forget. But she ended up getting fired, thank God. But I failed orchestration twice. So the writer, and I would take my stuff to downstairs back to the band room and be like, Mr. Miles, you looked at this, like, this looked great, but she just gave me an F. And he was like, something wrong with her. So I'm glad I still had a backup, because if it was just off of that teacher, I wouldn't write. I wouldn't know how to write. I would think that I wasn't any good at it. And so, I leave y'all with that. Like, as we have kids and we mentor kids and Black kids, like, we got to encourage them to make good choices and not just pick schools because of bands. Like, if you're going to college, pick your school for you and what you want to get out of the school. They don't have to have you in marching band 24/7 and they don't invest in you back. Like, you should know how to pass the praxis when you graduate. If you're a music education major, if you are a performance major, you should have been auditioning in college for gigs, not after. Like, you behind the game. There's a kid in China that started auditioning when they were 5 and you just not battle tested. Look at Mom. So
I want to throw in there too. I forgot, and I'll give y'all the name of the song in the chat. I won't put it out, but when I got to Norfolk and my stuff started being played, NCCU called and asked for arrangement. After I had gotten up, but when I text y'all what the title was, first of all, I was happy because they were asking. I'm like, this is my alma mater. I'm excited. I didn't think about it, but the title, I don't care what anybody says, there's meaning behind it. So I'll send that to the chat. But I'm like, now I'm hot, y'all on me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it, because it's kind of like they don't appreciate you when you're there. And in the guise of, I appreciate my line sister, Jaleesa, because she said the sweetest thing to me on Facebook. It came up on my memory a couple weeks ago. I was always considered the know-it-all because I knew how to play things. Like, I played better than a lot of people. And, I was always, looked down because I knew how to play. It was crazy. And she said, Lauren, you're not a know-it-all. You just can't help that you know a lot. And, that really, it really made my day when she said that to me. And that's what I mean by I wasn't musically happy at my first HBC. Well, technically it's my second one. It was at Central, but I was the band experiences were wonderful. I mean, we traveled all over the place. But the musical experience, could have been better. And now I'm in grad school 10 years later. I graduated college like over 10 years, undergrad over 10 years ago, and I'm having a better musical experience. So I just feel like, especially HBCUs, we need to, as far as our music programs, we need to make it more comprehensive, not just about, the marching band. It doesn't have to be just about the concert band too, but, to teach, concepts of your instrument and also stop acting like, the students that come through, they're just band kids. That these are students that are actually going to have careers in the music field. Like, even if they are band kids, they're music majors because that's, a lot of times that's all we know. Music wasn't all I knew, but it was what I was passionate in. So I took it as a major, and I wish there were more opportunities. Like, I wanted internships, I wanted summer jobs, I wanted all that. And to graduate and find out that the people were coming after me, got internship to the Library of Congress and, internships here and there, it just infuriated me because I wasn't afforded the same opportunities. I just think as a department, as music departments or schools, well, first of all, you need to act like a school of music. Secondly, you need to do your research and see what internships are out there for your music major, so they won't be, idle during the summer, because that's all I wanted. And to make, private lessons instruction, make them realize. I know Dr. Ty, she tried to make me realize. She did say, Lauren, once you graduate, you're my competition. She did tell me that. But give me the tools and resources on how to audition. There's actually
resources.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
There's actually an organization that supports African Americans and Latinos in auditioning for orchestras. I forgot the name of the organization. I'll Google it as soon as I park. But like audition procedures. What not etudes, but orchestral excerpts are needed for auditions on your instrument. All that. I wish I've gotten that in undergrad. It's unfortunate that I'm glad I know better now, but I wish I would have known earlier so I would have been ahead sooner.
I think the key, and this good wrap up, resources and opportunity kills Black people's ability to be successful every time. Doesn't matter what career, what you go into, a lack of resources or opportunity, unless you're a really driven people, and I like to think that we are driven people to some degree, that even with those lacks, we find it on our own. But as the conglomerate, as the group, like that's kind of what kills us at the success level or keeps us from being our fullest potential, is that we don't always have that backing. And I noticed something, and I know this as someone who grew up poor. You get a defense mechanism when you don't have things, that you get used to working around not having something. You defend not having something as a badge of honor. We don't gotta read music. I learned how to music, and that's great. That's a start. But where is your future going to go beyond your start? Like, thank God my mother, in all of her mess, raised us to not be complacent with where we are. Like, that's, if there's a lesson I could have got from her, and I'm like, not to sound like this and be real blunt, but if a drug addict who was a young mother could instill that in their kid, like, us educated Black folk should no longer be saying, this is what the kids do, this is what they like, because at the end of the day, the whole group is losing with that mentality. The whole group. Like, not like Krystal, because Krystal, quote unquote, got her money and her stuff together. Like, we all lose when the conglomerate has a complacent mindset about where they should be. And that's not saying we all have to do it the same way, but we can no longer just be spinning tires talking about this is how we always did it, this is what we do, this is how we do it. Because you know what? Other groups take what we start. You already know where I'm going with this. Polish what we start, because we abandoned it before we even got the coal starting to buffer it to a diamond. We'll get it and start at one level and then drop it like it's hot. And then someone picks up that coal that we kind of disregard, and that talent in us, and they polish it, and then we looking at LSU. Why? Because they saw more value in us than we saw in ourselves. And that is my finishing statement. Saw more value in us than we saw in us. So as much as I can, I don't care if someone call me a know-it-all. If I know some information that I think at least one is listening. I talked to a very educated brother from North Carolina, at great length about something he was doing. And he sent me feedback back. I donated money. You know why? I can write it off of my taxes. Black people with money like to keep their money. White people with money like to keep their money. So if you give me an opportunity, help me to keep my money, even if that means me giving you money, I'm sold. And it's a good cause, I'm sold. But I ain't sold if I can't see how this will help the whole. That's my words. About the God bless y'all. See, thank you for coming out. But thank you, ladies, being on. I don't care if we just talking to ourselves, because sometimes that's enough. If two shall agree. So thank you for sharing your stories or your her story. Like how there's a lot of assumptions sometimes that comes with being Black and educated. Like you don't know struggle. You don't know how to. You don't understand. Oh, I understand. Between air and space understands quite well. Quite well. By the way, though, their burgers used to be real good, though, in that cafeteria. I'm just gonna say, I used to be eating them burgers. They would just be like, "Here you go, baby." I was like, "Yes, thank you for the extra burgers today." I'm going up in this IMAX, put my feet on this. Nobody in here at 2 a.m. and we gonna be watching this movie because it just played over and over again. But you wake up feeling like you on the airplane. By the way, I don't advise that. Don't go to IMAX and watch those little like flight journey type, spaceship type movies, because yeah, you will wake up spinning, loopy. But that's all I got. Thank you for joining us at Passionate Network. Hit the share, like. I'm gonna post it everywhere. I don't care. Share it with other women who look like us, because share with other men who share experiences. Share with white people who need to know these experiences too. Just saying, it's all love here. Thank you, ladies, for spending time. I'm about to go eat dinner like Takenya. Takenya ain't sharing. Cybil, what you eat?
I had Applebee's today, but no more this month. That's only a few days though.
Cybil came in and was like, "Look, I'm gonna do better tomorrow." I'm glad you enjoy it for me too, because I can't eat not like that. My big behind see a fried piece of chicken. Be like, "Hey, we're gonna store that for winter." Lauren, what you eating?
Let's see. They have these like frozen Indian foods from Trader Joe's. I love my Trader Joe's, Crystal. Please don't get on me. They call me
gentrification Lauren is what I call it.
Yes. I'm going to eat the korma fish from you.
Well, I got squash and chicken, air fried chicken in a little foil container. It's gonna be good though. All right, y'all. I'll holler at you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless. Good night.